Creed 3 is the directorial debut of Michael B. Jordan. It was written by Ryan Coogler, the writer and director of the first Creed movie, Keenan Coogler, a writer for Space Jam: A New Legacy, and Zach Baylin, the writer of King Richard. In it, Jordan returns as Creed, facing off against a former childhood friend played by... oh dear. I just had to start this now. This happened the weekend before I started on this video. Jonathan Majors, you really couldn't have waited a week before doing this? Allegedly? Now I gotta put that aside to make this review. This is such an inconvenience for me. But anyway, I've recently had to get into YouTube Shorts to reach more people, and I talked about this movie then. I said I thought it was better than Creed 2, but in hindsight I'm not really sure if I remember that one enough to make that statement. But I stand by what I said about it being better than most Rocky sequels. Most of them were fresh in my mind because in the days before I caught up on those that I haven't seen yet. Which was most of them. And this was among the best of what I've seen in those few days. Also, the trailer footage is going to be in black and white because MGM's copyright bots are becoming mad with power. It's likely that if I ever review Creed 4, I'm going to have to set the video to a Creed music video instead. Anyway, this is a good sports movie with an interesting story. It's the first one in the Rocky cinematic universe to not feature Sylvester Stallone as Rocky. And against all odds, it is actually able to go on without him on screen. Its most interesting aspect is the relationship between Creed and Major's character. They have great chemistry with each other and an intriguing backstory. Earlier this year I said I didn't really see the hype for Major as Kang yet. Well, this role is better because it's actually decently written, like he actually seems like a villain with motives. Who would have guessed that he'd be good at playing a scumbag who hits people? Allegedly. I don't know if I love him in particular, but if this really is the end of his 5 minutes of fame, at least he made a decent enough mark. And the final fight is also pretty good. It takes chances that are, well, definitely interesting. There's this one surreal sequence in the middle where I'm pretty sure none of these movies have done anything like that before. All in all, it's a good boxing movie, somewhere in the upper end of the Rocky or Creed movies. Obviously not as good as the first Rocky or the first Creed, but possibly better than Creed 2 and maybe better than Rocky. On second thought, what's the point in ranking these? It's a good boxing movie, that's all that matters. Creed finally steps out of Rocky's shadow, and it works well.
This is the Home Box Office Television Network. So be sure to join Kurt Gowdy and his special guest each week on Boxing's Greatest Champions, premiering Thursday, March 9th, right here on HBO. Saturday, it's high-speed action and 100-proof adventure with a trio of beautiful bootleggers in a battle with a backwoods syndicate. Susan Howard, William Conrad, and John Saxon star in Moonshine County Express. This concludes our intermission. The next feature begins momentarily. The following feature has been rated R by the Motion Picture Association of America. This means those under 17 should not see it unless accompanied by an adult. Home Box Office will show this feature only at night.
John Wick Chapter 4, directed by Chad Stahelski, who did the previous movies. Written by Shay Hatton, who worked on Army of the Dead, Michael Finch, who worked on Predators, and of course, franchise creator Derek Kolstad. And it's a big one, a nearly 3-hour extravaganza of action and violence, and one that might possibly be the finale, but not after that box office. In it, John Wick is still excommunicado, and now, to be free again, he has to kill a whole lot of people who are after him. Like a lot of them. It makes great use of its long run time by filling it up with long action scenes that are as good as anything else in the franchise. This is probably the biggest John Wick movie yet, big enough to justify those 3 hours. It makes the John Wick universe even more interesting. What was once just that silly little movie about the guy from Bill and Ted trying to avenge his dead dog has evolved into an expansive universe of global underground crime. And we see some great new faces to expand that world. Bill Skarsgård is the main villain and he unsurprisingly nails that. But the real show stealer for me among the new faces was Donnie Yen as a blind yet extremely skilled assassin named Kane. His name's Kane and he has a cane. I didn't say everything was particularly well written, but either way, he's a cool character. It's always interesting seeing how he fights despite not being able to see anything. Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing a spin-off of just him. And unlike Chapter 3, which I really liked although I took a half star from my original rating so now it's just 4 stars, it feels like a complete story. A good one, of course. This is a high point for the franchise. It's the biggest John Wick movie, and probably the best since the original. at least. It's badass enough to justify the length.